Welcome everyone to Perfect Read episode 11. We are now back with actual matches here in VCT. VCT Pacific just kicked off, as did pretty much every region now. So everyone's underway. Everyone's got a different schedule. I have no idea what's going on. I was talking to people earlier today and I was like, we have 4 days. Do we have 5 days? I don't know. Some people have 5 days. And then I think Tyloo is already done with all of their matches except for one in China. So things are going crazy. But anyway, for Pacific, we got through a big chunk of matches. We do have 4 days a week, and it's been quite a fun one, big time. How's it been to be back here with Pacific?
It's been good. It's been busy, but it's the best region in the world. So I was just happy to watch lots of Valorant. I think especially those teams that had to play twice in this first week. I think
Mm.
that's the roughest end of the schedule. This is the worst time to have those super weeks. So credit to those teams for coming out of it alive. But it's been fun for me. I mean, I just get to watch a lot of good Valorant.
Yeah, no, yeah, we were off to a bit of a banger start, and obviously, Komodo, I know you've been kind of missing it for quite some weeks now. But are you happy? Are you happy it's back?
I'm happy Valorant is back. I'm not happy with some of the Valorant that we saw from Pacific. Is
Really?
probably one way that I would phrase it. There was some questionable
Ah,
things. But I am happy it's back. Like I got in a watch party. I watched all the days, either by myself or with my partner. So it was good getting some good watching in, and maybe getting some more gray hair from a couple of the parts that we saw.
question for both of you. You say you weren't happy. Now, I'm not saying it was like the greatest week of Valorant. That's not what I'm saying. But when's the last time that you were like fully satisfied with what you saw in a week of matches in Valorant, and not counting like a grand finals, 2 or 3 days. It can be a group stage of a tournament. It can be a league
Mm.
week.
Honestly, I'll kick this one off. It was kickoff triple elim for me. I think that the format
Mm.
really brought in for that style really intense matches and decisions that teams were forced to be made. I think if I reflect on it, that was probably a situation where I'm like, this is a good format in my opinion. The teams are fresh into the year, coming in towards it, and they've just got to kind of like give it their all into another map pool that just changed, try to deliver. So I think I was relatively happy with that. I think the meta from a normie perspective was fun to watch
Mm.
for little blips, and Nongshim, kind of showcased that heavily as well for an audience. So I think for me, from that perspective, that was when it was exciting for me.
Okay.
Hmm.
Big time. Was
Yeah,
there ever a
I would
time
see
that
that.
you were
Yeah.
satisfied with Valorant?
You know what? I'm pretty easily pleased, man. I enjoyed
That's
London.
true.
I thought London was a pretty
Yeah,
solid
it was
tournament. It
fun.
was fun to watch. It had a bit of everything. It had upsets, but I felt like the top teams rose to the top there in London for the most part. And I think this first week always was a little bit weird because it's a change. There's been changes to the agents. There's been changes to the guns. So week one is always going to be sort of a little bit of figuring stuff out, but that's okay. That's okay. That's also part of Valorant. You got to take the rough with the smooth. You got to take the
That's
ups with the
true.
downs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. You can't always have it all. Yeah, I mean, I thought I was just wanted to ask that question because I know you kind of focused on. Well, there were parts that I really didn't like, and I'm thinking. I mean, yeah, I wasn't happy with every single team nor every single match, but also we've had it way worse.
We
I'm
have,
yeah, like
yes,
I'm looking at
yes.
it. I'm like on the opposite end. I would say that there were teams that actually were pleasantly surprising, in my opinion.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
I thought I kind of balanced out this week. But for those who maybe didn't get to watch all the matches or you were just dropping in and out, just to recap very quickly, we did have 4 days, which means 8 matches. So some teams had to play twice. But just to rattle them off, and we'll put these up on the screen in case you're being able to watch on YouTube. But Genji beats Zeta 2-0. Vero beats Secret 2-1. Full Sense beats Nongshim 2-1. KRX beats DFM 2-1. GE beats RQ 2-0. T1 beats Paper X 2-1. Gen G beats Nongshim 2-1, and then Secret beats KRX 2-0. So it kind of ramped up towards the end of the weekend here. And there were, I would say, I mean, I think it's safe to say they were upsets, considering obviously we also didn't know how some of these rosters would look coming into stage two. But just coming in to the first weekend, big time. Was there a team that particularly impressed you compared to what you were expecting?
That impressed me. I mean, I think Varel. I was happy with how Varel
Hmm.
played. They got their first win, which was
They
massive for them.
did.
Foxy9 coming in. Like it was great to be live in the venue for that. Like the passion that they showed after winning a group stage game against Team Secret was astronomical. Like Foxy9 is like jumping out of his chair, and I was really happy for them. And I felt like they did a very good job. So I was happy. I was happy for them. For sure. I think New Gen G also, I think did a
Mm.
great job. In my mind, I had them. To be fair, on that last day, I got both predictions right. I really thought they were a better team than Notion heading into that. And I think they did a great job there. That's a really tough game for them. So
Mm.
Mm.
I actually think for them to be 2-0, having to play 2 games in the week, 2-0 is I say the hardest schedule, and they came out of that entirely unscathed. So
Yeah.
to be honest, yeah, probably I think I'm shifting. That's probably Gen G for me.
All right. Komodo, what about you?
Yeah, I had Genji for this one as well. If you throw it back to last week, I had my player to watch as Rascal, and I think we saw glimpses of what he's capable of stepping up into this Genji roster. I'm glad that Texture has a kind of company around him right now that he's been able to still do his things, and he looks happier on the stage, like even more happier as well with this squad. So that's a bit of a bonus to go through as well. I did, also technically have like a team to watch on RRQ. But I guess we can
Mm.
talk about it right now. Like Zan didn't play, so
Right.
I wonder for that team, was he going to be playing and then something's happened because he was playing
Yeah.
EWC. Now he's not with the squad, so I
So
think that there might be problems there.
what we got
Um,
told for that was medical. It's
is
medical
Okay.
why he's
is
not
that
playing.
It's
public?
just
He's
That's
yeah
public.
medical. Okay.
It's
yeah.
medical. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that he was supposed to be in, but
Yeah.
medical stuff, and then
Okay.
he
So
couldn't play.
I wonder for me like I think that had a bit of an issue like for the team going into it. There's other issues in that GE game for RRQ in that one, but for my impressive team, definitely Gen G. I'll stretch over into my disappointing team as well. It would be RRQ and KRX. Equally, I think for me, just
I
a bit
mean,
of RRQ caveat though, I guess.
well, with KRX, I mean, how much of it is disappointment versus shock? Let's talk about that, because
Um,
I think those are slightly different. Because
yeah.
basically the way I see it is, the moment they picked Triple Duelist the first time, and then they made it very clear that they were committing to this on every map.
Every map.
The expectation was just out the window. Like I couldn't possibly really be disappointed anymore at that point. I was just like, all right. I mean, I do not know this team anymore. This is brand new. Now,
Yeah.
let's talk about that a little bit. I think this is kind of going to be the biggest news. For those who missed it, by the way, they did play Triple Duelist on, what is it, total 5 maps? Five different maps, right?
5 different.
Oh no, 4 different maps. 5
Oh,
maps played.
Split,
4 different
Sunset,
maps.
Summit, Haven.
Haven, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
4
that
different
doesn't
maps.
give me confidence that they're not going to do it on the other 3.
Well, I mean, hopefully after how it's gone, maybe they reconsider it. But did you hate it all throughout, or were there moments where you were okay with it?
So for me, I don't hate the idea of it. Like I totally see where they're coming from. It's embracing of this heavy aggression meta, and they're valuing that the duelist role is sort of overtuned, right? And I get where they're coming from, because when you play those 3 duelists of Neon, Phoenix, Wayday, you have flashes, you have some stolen anomalies, you have walls if you want to make pressure. You have this almost, you sort of cover a lot of the bases. Like I get where they're coming from. The disappointment for me was how they played it, where I feel like their ideas were one-dimensional. I don't think they were really using um, everything they could. I think with more time on the comp, it can be a good comp. Like it's not a problem with Triple Duelist for me. It's a problem in the execution of it.
Mm.
Mm.
But I think like last week we had a lot of discussion about what is macro. Is macro dead? And I think that especially that second game against like it's sort of contradictory, because in that first game DFM were in the right positions. DFM knew the answers, but they couldn't do it because
Mm.
the individuals on KRX were too strong. But then in that second game, you would have, most people would have rated them still highly. Like, I think the predictions were still vastly in the favor of KRX, despite knowing we were going to do Triple Duelist. And I think that to me speaks to this idea that people really believe that the micro can just kind of work. And the way
Right.
KRX were playing it was all about micro. It's
Yeah.
5-man slam these sites, we're going to shoot you in the head. But Team Secret dismantled them. Like, it wasn't even a close game, and that's because they had a strong macro game plan. If they said, okay, we can beat you doing this, like, macro is alive and well, people, because they dismantled it entirely in a macro sense. They didn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
have to, like, they were taking favorable fights every single time because their game plan was rock solid. So
And
to me, it's the fact that they didn't change anything between game 1 and game 2, and it's the
Mm.
fact that it's only 5-mans or it's 4-1 on defense. I want to see a lurk. Like, I think you can make a Waylay lurk, because he can bait those traps
Mhm.
and he can refract
Mhm.
out on the other side of the map, and you still have a powerful double entry of Neon Phoenix. Yeah, there's so much more to this comp. There's fakes, there's lurks, there's other ways to make pressure. You know, I think their Haven was slightly better, and they didn't just have that one-dimensional game plan. But that was my biggest disappointment with them. Is I don't
mm,
think that they actually executed in a way that is fair for us to judge this triple duelist comp.
yeah, I mean, if I play on this, like the idea of it was very, very interesting and very, very silly, because you've got this team that has historically been, one of the most kind of middle of the idea pool. You're playing very methodical, and this kind of threw that out the wazoo completely. You've got 2 series where they run 4 of the exact same agents across all of the maps and just changing on that initiator role. I mean, I've got it up right now. The KRX versus Team Secret, it was the 5 same agents across Sunset and Haven for both teams, right? So
Yep.
there's a lot of tells, there's a lot of tendencies, and I go through that, and I'm not seeing in this implementation right yet the flicker that we were seeing in Crest when he was on loan as well. I feel like it's a different identity for how he has to play on this roster, and it's that case of like big fish in the little pond now in the little fish in the big ponds type component. And I don't think that the look of this triple duelist fits the actual like identification that KRX are going for at the moment. You kind of highlighted it perfectly, and Morgan, coupling with the fact that they have to play twice in 1 week, like you have a triple duelist comp where you have no time to adjust after that first series into a team secret where you're going up against, in my opinion, one of the brightest players that can have a read on the game that we get to see transition into tier 1 in Styron, because you got to remember he has IGL'd in SEA. That is credit where credit is due to step up from this bloody chaotic region that we have here in Challenges. He had great reads alongside Spin. I think that the timeouts exercise were not capitalized upon by KRX. They just had no answers to Team Secret. And even then, flipping it to DFM, I was watching that Summit game, and I thought at the halftime, I actually thought DFM were potentially going to be able to run away with it on when they switched to attack, and you got this
Mm.
triple duelist on defense. But they switch and pivot to this heavy retake style, like early little prods and retake style with these duelists, and that actually kind of worked. So that gave me like a bit more faith in KRX to a degree, but it's still at the end of the day a very, very out there, readable kind of strategy now when you've got 2 series, 4 maps, the same identification plays. Like any team should now be able to dismantle this.
Yeah, it's interesting. So the first match, I was watching it with Mobugi, who's the head of Onside Gaming from
Mm.
Challengers Korea, and obviously also the former head of SPG back when the Nongshim boys were on SPG. And it's so Mobugi sounded like he was also of the idea that like always keep an open mind, right? So he's looking at this and he's like, you know what? I mean, listen, I don't want to judge it too early. Like, I kind of see where they're coming from. And the more we talked about it, like, I get it. It's kind of, what you guys both mentioned in big time. You kind of honed in on it of like, okay, you've got all the tools. Like, you've got the bare necessities you need, and especially in the current meta. And then the more I thought about it and watching it, especially against DFM, it's like, okay, well, also, if you're expecting most people to potentially still lean into double duelist, it's like you're not going to feel that lack of util as much either, because everyone else is also generally going to slam sites. They might do a little bit more push and pull, but that's what it'll come down to. So, and then we see, okay, Flicker's just a human drone. Okay, I get that. So he's there just to get info, and it all makes sense. But yeah, I was with you in that. Well, in the DFM game, I was disappointed that it was like, I always feel like I'm just in a different world here when it comes to Split, because I've never liked
Mm.
Yoru on Split. A lot of the Yoru believers always seem to think that Split was a great map for him. I also don't think Split is the map to try Triple Duelist on, because I think it hard limits you even further. So I was a little disappointed in that, and then obviously they did it again. And then Haven was the same idea, because for me it was like, well, this you definitely don't want to like limit yourselves to more one-dimensional gameplay, because it's a triple site map, and then they stuck with it, and I was like, I can't imagine that you have much to do, right? You like at some point with Triple Duelists, you just have to win fights anyway, and it's like, well, now you're giving them an easier chance of avoiding those fights because it's triple site. So it seemed a bit disappointing, but the real question is, do you think it's fine still to use on certain maps then, whether it's KRX or other teams?
Yeah, I think it's fine. It just has to be more fleshed out than that.
Hmm.
Like that's my
Yeah.
problem is that on attack you can't 5-man every round. You just can't do it. Like,
Yeah.
eh, like we can pretend that you can and that it's all micro and you just have to shoot them in the head. But like Secret dismantled it so easily. Of
Mm-hmm.
like their game plan was, they throw like a camera in down a deep camera. It gets info. If they break it, they rotate it to it. If it didn't, they rotated away from it and flanked. And it was like
Mm.
every single round. They could Secret had the easiest game plan in the world to counter this because they watched it and I think we spoke to Spin in the interview on the desk
Mm-hmm.
after, and he made a great point, which is he felt like they'd been underestimated by KRX. Part of me
Mm.
wouldn't be shocked if they have different comps or if they have a sort of deeper version of this comp that they were saving for the latter half of the group, that they were saving, so they didn't show anything and they thought that they could just walk this super weak um,
Mm.
Mm.
against the bottom of the table
The bottom.
teams in,
Right.
in DFM and Secret, right? That maybe they were hiding something, and that's what this was. But ultimately, like you can't come in and play exactly the same way, and especially when it's so simple, like you will get exposed. I think all the teams in the league are good enough. If they play like
Yeah.
they did in that game for the rest of this group stage, they won't win another map. They won't win anything. I'm so confident because it's too simple.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a bit too simple. I'm with you on that. So you say like obviously on attack you can't just 5-man. I mean,
Mm.
excuse me, sorry, I still have a bit of a cough, but what like what's an example of how would you expand this idea though with triple duelists, right?
Well,
Like
I, I
what's
think
something you'd like to see?
I think there's a lot of fakes you could do. I think like
Mm.
any kind of fake where you got some kind of cross map recon. There's a waylay there. Even the neon. To be honest, you can do a
Yeah.
neon wall. But the waylay dashes, where, there's a recon. Maybe you look for one fight, you refract away. There's a neon wall. That's gonna feel so real to the player
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
defending that site. You put one smoke down. It's gonna feel horrendous because it has all the markings of a strong execute. But
Right.
really,
Mm.
you have everything you need to hit across onto the other side. You have an open blind, you have a Phoenix flash, you have a wall to create pressure. So I think I want to see fakes. I think there's ways you can leave people on the lurk. Like I said, I think you can have the way they start exploring other sides of the map, trigger these
Mm.
traps. I think you can have the Phoenix look to lurk with its wall a little bit more
Yeah.
on some
Mm.
maps. There's ways to walk up on Sunset. You can take those fights. You can isolate. You make that pressure because you're not making any pressure. You're not
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
mid-rounding at all.
I definitely agree with all of that, and to further play with that too, I think this would be accentuated on the maps that I actually think that this would be viable in the pool. Because like thinking about it, I don't want to see it again on Split. I don't want to see it again on Sunset. I think Summit actually plays in quite nicely for how it's going to
Yep.
be playing. If you're getting a bit of this mid control as well, and you want to go for these fakes, you have so many options to do with this triple duelist comp. At the chokes of A, the choke of B as well, whether you're going off the rip barrier, drop balls to the wall straight on in, or like that the neon can get with a good recon nice and early or a good iron nice and early, depending on how you kind of want to play that. They run the fade on Summit with this comp. Similarly, if you're going for these mid stretches, again, like think about going towards a link, how fast a neon could potentially get up or a way they can get up. If you got your smoke timing great down as an omen, you can go for some really quick splits and catch your opponents off guard. So I think
Yeah.
Summit is a map that I could see this still like kind of played through nicely, but you need that deeper pool, which again plays to what Spin was saying, right? He thinks that they underestimated Team Secret.
Mm.
It probably has a bit of a deeper atmosphere in what this comp is going to be able to do. And also then funnily enough, and I know it's not in the pool, I think that it could work on Icebox as well, this comp, which would be a bit
With,
of
with
a
no
bit of a
Viper?
fun one.
With
Um,
no Viper, no
I would
Sage? No, you're
change the
good.
Omen to a
Just
Viper,
just
but
the omen to the
the
viper.
triple
Yeah.
duelist variety
Mm,
could do it on
I
there.
mean,
mm. I
I think it would work against most teams because most teams are bad at
Yeah.
icebox.
Like
But
for me,
Hey,
I think you're right about Summit, but I think you're
yes,
right for the
agreed.
wrong reasons. I don't think it's
mm,
because of how the map is shaped, because as soon as everyone understands the map, Triple Duelist will be as difficult to play on Summit as it is on every
yeah,
other map. I
yeah,
think I think it's good on Summit right now because Summit is new. No one knows how to play Summit.
Yeah.
And I think in
mm,
general, whenever a new map comes out, if I was with a team, I'd always just put them on Double Duelist. like regardless of what meta we're in, because it
Sure.
simplifies it. And like
Mm.
on Summit, they had a very simple game plan, the same they did on everyone else. But everyone else is trying to understand the map a little bit too much, in my mind. And you don't need to
Mm.
understand the map at the start of its life cycle to win on it. Winning on it is more important than understanding it.
Sure.
Mm.
Like you can get to understanding it by the time you get to play-ins. So
Mm.
on there, I don't mind it, but I think, like I said, for me, I could see a world where if this is the style you want to lean into, you can do it. But I just can't see where their prep time has gone with this composition.
Yeah.
I feel like they had a 1 hour sort of theory session, like 3 months ago, and then they've won a bunch of scrims against noobs.
Hey,
That's what it feels like to me.
at least they didn't jump into like a scrim and pick random agents and stick with that. Let's be real there. But
I mean, sure.
like if I look at their opposition next as well, PaperX into Varel into T1, they
They-
they're
I'm
going to be
telling
big
you.
play-ins, and some of these challenger teams could potentially like
I
get
know.
them if they don't actually lock in.
I think part of it could just be experimentation. I think this is something Team Secret spoke about on their interviews as well, and it's like you don't get eliminated from this group
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Nothing
Yep.
like, and even if you come rock bottom, you could lose every game. You win one game in the play-ins against the tier 2 team, and it's the same as placing third.
Yep.
In the, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like this group
There's
stage
no risk.
actually really doesn't mean
Mm.
anything.
Yeah.
So you can use it to experiment. Maybe that's what they're doing, is they're just trying it and they're feeling like this strikes me as very much a comp that batters people in scrims. You know, because they don't know how to adapt to it. So maybe they were just battering people. Now they've tried an official and they've gone, okay, this isn't the one, guys. Let's figure it out.
But
But
they-
they have another 3 weeks to figure it out. So it's not the end of
Yeah.
the road for KRX. I'm not doomer on them. I just think they cooked a little bit too much, and I think they didn't flush it out enough.
Do
They
you?
have to be a team that gets first, second though. Remember, they won't get the points if they.
Well,
don't
no,
get
but the
points.
idea is unless you're going for first in groups, it doesn't matter, right? So like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're either first in groups or it doesn't matter. And at that point, I think Big Time's point is correct. And also, let's be really honest. I think, I mean, not to say that you shouldn't try, but in Group Omega, if you are not PaperX or T1, I don't know how much of the stops you want to pull now in groups to
Yeah.
try to get it and then not get it have shown your hands like fully and then or like
That's true.
be burnt out and then go into play-ins, right? I think
Yeah.
I think it is much better to kind of, I mean, again, depends on your team atmosphere and like does it work for as drive or not? Obviously, everyone has different chemistry, but I think there is an element of like at least maybe even just for the coaching staff to think ahead and be like, okay, I mean, worst case, we have to play play-ins. The moment you play play-ins, it's just a matter of one extra match or not in the beginning. Let's assume that you believe you'll beat challengers teams either way, and then you're like, okay, well now it's just a grind no matter what.
Yeah.
So we have to really prep ourselves, like build up towards that grind rather than go for the Hail Mary, get first in groups. And then even then, like if you, because here's the other thing, if you don't think you're already built to take grand finals, getting that first or second seed in groups could potentially be worse because now you're taking a big break during play-ins. And sure, you get to
Yeah.
watch people, but you know, no one's gonna be scrimming you because everyone knows they got to play you. Like it's, I've heard different people have different takes on this. It makes it very weird. I think it makes it very iffy. But either way, I think we're all in agreement. Whether it's some underestimating, some experimenting, maybe also just slotting Flicker back in, whatever else it might be. Now then, the verdict. Would you want to see KRX continue to experiment with a triple duelist?
Not if they want to win. If they care about trying to win, then no. If they
No?
just want to have fun in the
No?
group stage and they'll look in for the play-ins, then sure, have a great. I bet it's really fun. I bet if I'm not Phoenix, I'm having the time
Dude,
of my life if I'm Yunmin. But
Termi was. Did you guys see that in the after map 1 interview against DFM when they had lost map 1? Termi was smiling. I've never seen him happy after a loss. It's
well,
insane.
can you tell me how employment rights work here in Korea? Because part of me feels like it's if he resigns, he doesn't get severance pay. If he gets fired, maybe he gets a payout. Do you think that's what he's doing? Where he's just
Oh
like,
my God.
oh no, guys, it's Triple Duelist. I'm sorry, management. Maybe I'm losing.
Oh my God.
Hey
that's
guys,
that's
we
an
won a series.
insane
Tone it
take.
down.
That's an insane take. Oh my God.
Blimey.
No, okay. I don't think he's doing that. I think they're just
No,
trying
no, of
stuff.
course not.
But
Yeah.
like, look, I think you gotta call a spade sometimes. And I think I think very much they might just understand that the play-ins, going to the play-ins isn't necessarily a bad thing. They're not eliminated from having a bad group stage. But
Yeah.
for me, I don't want to see them run it again. I think if they run it again, or at least if they run it again the same way they did this week, if they run it again with some development, okay, I'm not as mad.
Mm.
But if they
Okay.
just if they come out in their next game playing exactly the same game plan, then I'm gonna be angry because it's like you're
Mm.
wasting everyone's time with this.
But Paper X is playing mix big
Well,
time.
are they
Surely,
still
surely it'll
Okay,
be
though?
but
He
okay.
got it
the thing
out.
is,
Surely.
they can waste everyone's time. They're in champs. They could look whatever they want, and it literally doesn't matter. Everyone else
Yeah.
has to peak in play-ins. Paper Bricks have to peak in champs. Their runway
That's
is
true.
astronomically long compared to every other team. So Paper X you can write off as whatever, but yeah,
Mm.
Oh
I don't
man.
know. I think
I
that's the scary thing. It's just not Termy.
I mean, Komodo, do you want to
Yeah.
see them at like? Would you like to see them try to develop it, or are you like, nah,
Look,
just
if
scrap
they
it?
if they're gonna try and develop it, they need to go all in for this comp. That's the way I see it. And if you're not gonna go all in now, when you've got a small break between this ending, like through play-ins through towards champs, are you using that really small window to redevelop everything? Is this a way just to potentially get through to get 1-2 into champs? Are you just doing it now because you're just getting you're just prepping and getting some chemistry down with the team? Like, what are you actually using this comp for right now? Because if you've got to continue it, you have to run with it crazily, and I honestly don't want to see them do that. The order of like who they go into next as well for me is a bit of a driving factor for this, because I think that if they won against Varel before Paper X and T1, I would like to see them do it to see what they put in Inflammation would work against Varel.
Hmm.
I don't think that it's going to have mass value against a team like Paper X, where you generally right now throw out the rulebook
Sure.
in how you play against them, especially with a comp like this.
Yeah.
So I think for that regard, I want to see them ditch this comp and go back to something a little bit more mainstream.
Yeah, a little bit more standard. All right.
Yeah.
I listen, I think in my head it's like you lost 2-0 to Team Secret, whether it's because you thought they'd be easy or you just thought this was the, lightest week despite being super, so you wanted to take it easier. You got to lock in. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. The only one is Summit. Like I can see them still pulling it out on Summit, but otherwise I can't imagine that they stick with, at least not for the majority of the maps, but we'll see. Now, you mentioned Varel. I want to touch on them very quickly. Don't want to get into it too deep, but they did get their first ever win in Pacific, so congratulations to Varel. And big time, you mentioned it, Foxy9 just celebrating. And you could tell in the interview, too, how happy he was to be able to
Yeah.
kind of give that opportunity to his teammates. You love to see that, him growing as an older brother. But what do we think about Varel overall? Like, is this purely just, oh, man, the Foxy9 factor, both his mechanics and kind of his experience? Or do you think that there's reason to actually believe that they were now finding their own identity? Because they actually played single duelist on 2 out of the 3 maps that
Yeah.
they played.
I liked what they were doing. It felt like they'd used their sort of prep time well. And I think for me the biggest thing for this Varel team is like they just couldn't get a win, right? It always felt like they would fall down at the last hurdle. They could just never win. I think now they've won one game, they'll truly
Mm.
believe they can win every game. Because really they could have won most of their games back in
Yeah.
stage one. They just didn't, they were missing that one little bit. And if
Yeah.
Foxy9 is able to bring that sort of winningness, if he adds that 10% that gets them across the line every time, there's no reason not to be excited. I think they're very, very sharp players. I do think for me, I was a little bit surprised to see that it was Cinder who was in and not Klaus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know if that's something that they'll stick with or if they swap that out. Or I think Klaus is still on the roster. I don't
He
think
should be.
Yeah.
he's not been
Yes.
dropped. So
No.
I don't know how that will shake out down the line. But Cinder played better as well, I would say. So maybe this is just the way that they feel is best. But yeah, for me, I was very happy for them, and I think just the mentality of having a win on the board will make them feel so much more free than it did in
Yeah.
stage one, and that's probably the biggest difference maker.
So
Mm.
that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Actually, I think that it's a really, really, in my opinion, and a couple of other people that I've spoken to about this, dumb opinion that Klaus is the one to be moved out. This kid
Sure.
is insane. He was such a pivotal member on this roster that I agree with you, Morgan. Like I thought Cinder would have been the player to potentially get replaced, and Foxy9 just slot into that role. It also has something to play with maybe IGL type atmosphere as well, if you want to stretch it out to this far too. But another wild thing that I kind of contemplated is this the suggest of Gen G happening, right? Where Foxy9 comes in, shows them what to do, Foxy9's back out and Klaus is back in. Or is this a permanent, no, we've got Foxy9 now and we're modifying our roster permanently? Like, that's a wait and see space at the moment.
Yeah. I
So
cannot imagine that you bring in someone who is vastly more experienced than any of your
Oh,
players
probably not. No.
and still hasn't reached his peak, and then
Yeah.
do the suggest. And the suggest
Yeah.
thing, like, we've never gotten official confirmation. I joked about it. I threw it out in the air, and the suggest thing is only a bit more believable because suggest was clearly not at his peak anymore, but he knew how to take orders. I can't imagine that that's something that's happening with Foxy9. But to
Neither do I,
me, the thing is well, the reason I focused on the single duelist is the logical conclusion on why Klaus is sitting out, unless there are other internal things that we don't know about, is simply they think like double controller, or they think Foxy9 is still better at being able to control that other side of the map, whether it's as a half lurk on Viper or a full anchor lurk as a sentinel.
Cypher.
And
Yeah.
so in that case, it's like we don't want Foxy9 to slot in as a smokes. We want him to slot in on that side, unless Klaus is going to come in and play full smokes. It's just a role thing, in my opinion. And it seemed like they
Yeah.
were pretty committed because of
Yeah.
the comps they played, right? They play Viper, Omen, and the Sage, which is also not, the traditional like Anchor, Lurk, Sentinel, or Opper. And then you have Viper, Omen again on Summit with Initiator. And then now that was the one. LP did play the Cypher there. So that was like a little bit of a, okay. But LP is also the IGL, right? So it's like, okay. So you can't really take him out of the equation. So if Foxy9 isn't playing smokes, you don't really have another option, I guess, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And I gotta imagine that probably, after all the different things they tried, was the conclusion where they wanted LP and probably Foxy9 both as voices. And then, if I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Klaus is now. The thing is whether it's the suggest thing or not. If now Klaus, if this is a bit of a scratch on his ego, and he says, you know what, fine, I'll learn smokes, and he grinds away. Maybe we see him slot back in. Like, I could see that happening,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
unless he commits to that.
It's gonna be
I
a
agree.
really interesting thing for me though, because like we had Silcon on in the interview as well, talking about like some of them just player familiarity in a side kind of note. Foxy9 would have been like an unfamiliar player technically to him to be bringing in, and if they do have some really good success with that, it could be great. But I do wonder for a team like Varel, with these changes, what's the goal for them as well, knowing that 2027 does change? Is it to get a couple of wins? Is it to push for slot 1 and 2? Like, it's
No, the
an
goal is to
interesting
go to
one for me.
champs for
Well,
sure.
Yeah, of course that, but like the goal before that, like what's
But
the
I don't.
initiative for them right now?
I think if it was other years, I get what you're trying to say. But I think specifically because things are changing next year anyway, I think legitimately you just don't think
Do
about
what
it.
you can and just
Yeah, because
send it for champs,
because
yeah.
literally there's nothing to plant your feet on, right? Because
Yeah,
if it was
yeah,
if it was
that's what I mean.
another year, it'd be a case of, okay, well, you know what, we can grow and go back and like just wreck challengers and come back again. But now it's like, we could go back, but Varel's a Japanese org. Like, do we go to Challengers Japan? How does import work? Like, none of that's really clarified, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's just do what we can to get to champs, and we'll see. And if we do well, whether
Yeah.
we move as a team or individuals get scouted, that's a whole different story. So I can't imagine that for 2027 anyone there, or I guess my take would be no one there should be thinking about it. Not even the coaches, in my opinion, in this scenario. But
Mhm.
we'll see. Yeah, I am curious. I think everyone was kind of scratching their head of like, oh, Klaus is setting out. Okay,
Klaus
interesting.
on.
Yeah.
I think you could be definitely onto something with the roles. I think that makes a lot of sense. But I think the thing is that I feel a bit sad for Klaus. Like, he's a good enough player to play in the league. I think he can improve a lot of teams if he goes there.
Oh,
So
for sure. Yeah.
I hope that if this is the way that they decide they want to go, I hope they let him explore some options, play the game.
Maybe.
No player wants to sit on the bench, and he's good enough to
Yeah.
do damage elsewhere.
Would Klaus fix KRX?
No.
I think he'd fix a lot of teams. You don't think so?
You
I don't think he'd fix KRX.
No,
Well, not if they're playing Triple Duelist.
no, like get out
But-
of that.
Yeah. No.
sounding
But
mainstream.
yeah. No. Sure. But my point is
Yeah.
I don't think they're doing Triple Duelist because they can't play anything else. You know what
Oh
I
no,
mean?
no,
Like,
no, yeah. I know
Yeah,
that.
so it's not a roster thing, in my opinion, because we know individually KRX has really good players. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't, I can't imagine that's a problem for KRX. But
Yeah.
we'll see. All right. Now we talked about Summit a little bit earlier, especially with the whole Triple Duelist. People aren't used to it, etc. And one other team that I thought had their own interesting take, and maybe in a similar vein as Triple Duelist, was GE. Now, GE comes in with a very heavy post plant composition here with the Tejo. You've got the Gekko, you've got the Rays, and we talked about this a little bit with Shio, going off the walls of like how crazy can you get with these compositions. Now, Komodo, you're shaking your head. Is this a
did you
one-off?
see the interview with Platoon?
Wait.
Did you see what he said?
No.
They picked random agents in a scrim and decided
this
to
was
stick
the
with
one.
it. This was the
Oh,
one.
no. Wait, no, I did see that. I think even Javi mentioned that as well.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Javi mentioned it.
Javi mentioned it as well. Yeah,
was
but
the comp.
okay. First of all, I don't know how Platoon phrased it. Javi mentioned it as well, right? But Javi, now I remember it. What I remember is Javi said, "Well, Platoon wanted us to play 5v5 and pick what we want. Who was the other
that's what it was.
five? Because they don't have
I think it has to
a
be-
10."
My guess is it was like the 5 players playing a sort of in-house fun game against management / other
Okay.
people.
Oh, and try
And
what
then-
you want.
And they were just like, try it. And then they were like, oh, this works. But I think that's a horrendous way to build your mobs. Truthfully, I
Yep.
don't love it. I think they won that summit, but they won because the RRQ went back to their old ways and did a mega crumble. I mean, you're telling me they can't get 3 rounds on attack where they have advantages on a bunch of them? Like,
10-2.
I'm much
Opening
more mad
kills.
at RRQ's summit than G. I think G's summit wasn't good, but I think it's like poker. You play the man, not the cards. They played the man. They forced RRQ to crumble. They went back in time.
No, but you don't think this comp like works?
I think it's cheesy. I think like
it's
it's classic.
cheesy
It's
for
classic
sure.
post-spawn cheese. But even then, I
Yeah.
don't think their post-spawns were good. They had one where they dumped all the ults
yeah.
together that was good.
Mhm.
But apart from that, they were actually getting. They were losing
Yeah.
retakes a lot because they were sat inside the site. And that
Yeah.
first half, RRQ understood the game plan and did a good job. And then it's just on that attacker side they couldn't do it. I think it's early life cycle of a map, so everything is good, which I get. But I don't think their comp is actually legitimately some
Yeah.
great meta read. It's agent comfort, and I'm all for player comfort, so I get why they did it. And as an opening week gambit, I like it, but I worry that it won't carry forward well because it's a little bit gimmicky.
I definitely agree with that as well. I think that there's something to be said about RRQ not playing to what they can play to, and like we know that hands down for this roster. I think that Cushy struggled a lot on the Phoenix in this showcase as well. I think the team struggled a lot with some ideas after the first opener, which is very surprising because when you had Jemkin with the operator, for example, defense on the A side of things, GE kept running into that. They kept giving free kills and everything. You flip it on over to the attacking side for RRQ, and there's some of the simple things about individual peaks time and time again, and never dropping the door at A. How many times am I watching this and they leave that door open and they are playing, single Astra, not lobbing cages, not like getting Blaze out and everything, leaving the door open up for like, I think it's something like 7 different angles that Jemkin would be able to just slot around with that door not dropped. It's phenomenal how much that GE let like kind of number one RRQ get away on the defensive side to a degree, but also how much RRQ on their attack didn't play some of the strengths that the map just gives you by default.
Yeah, it did seem like they both, well, obviously very different comps, but they both were struggling on the attacking side with those basic ideas of like, how do you control the site, or how do you get in some cases for RRQ, because I think, eventually you try to force your way in when you're GE because of all the util you have, but obviously your post plant. But RRQ, yeah, I mean, this was one where I was like, they just two rounds of ults and they're golden, and they didn't even do that. And the first time I was like, okay, listen, you got a lot of rounds, like you messed it up a little bit, you thought you could win it, I get it. And then the second time, and I do wonder if a big part of it is Cushy trying to like find his place. And again, maybe this was a last minute switch up because of the Zan situation. If Zan, apparently it's medical, so if that's the case, then when does that switch back? But it was a bit heart-wrenching to watch because, like you said, and I've said this as well, I mean, this is just kind of what RQ's become, and it's been a shame.
For me, like the craziest bit of it all was like Monyet was the only one who wanted to win that game. He's the only one who I felt like was showing up consistently. I felt like he was making good plays across the map. He's lifting the mood on the team when everyone else looks like they absolutely don't want to be there. So
He's
I don't
got
know
to get
what's
a
going
spot
on.
back. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. He has a real reason to want to win this game. No one else does.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in RRQ, but it looks like something bigger than the meta. I don't know. It looks like I felt like they were kind of baiting each other in that attack off.
Mm.
I felt everything felt so disconnected. This isn't the same RRQ last year that we
Not
saw.
last year, yeah.
Last
No,
time.
no.
You know, so
Um,
I'm not super high on them moving forward.
Yeah,
Okay.
like they were a team that I was really excited for coming into this stage with Zan, right? So that's where I have to add the caveat in towards this roster. So everyone knows that the roster move was Monyet to the bench or out, and Zan coming in, which makes
Now,
me really
I do just want to clarify that that's
Sure.
what was reported.
Reported,
RQ's
okay,
official
reported,
statement
sure, yeah.
has only shown the addition of Zan and never talked about Monyet.
Okay, so
yeah.
reported based on what we saw at EWC then,
Yeah.
as well. So if that's the case, would Zan have just played the Astra instead of Monyet, or would they have had a different comp for like a Neon because he plays Neon as well? They could run a Neon Waylay and a different identity with Crazy Guy Smokes and Cushy in it and Xfero either secondary smoke if we want to like get tricky with maybe an Omen Viper. And we're running like double controller, double duelist, single in it, or if we are playing, him on a sentinel as well, like where I think that they should land on. So I do wonder, was it like because of the medical reason a bit of a switch to a different comp that wasn't maybe as rehearsed? It could spell a little bit of why Cushy, on this attacking side is 7 first deaths straight away, not able to get the ball rolling whatsoever, just punished time and time again. It's all just speculation. So for me, it's a watch this space, but this 5 roster has played together for quite a while now. These sort of things we were seeing in the game, in the series, are not something that a team this together this long should be. We should be witnessing.
Right, like the disjointedness of
Correct.
the team.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
But you're right on the compositions. Obviously, I think they would have had many more options based on what we saw from obviously small sample size, but the 2 matches they played at EWC, Zan being able to kind of flex around between smokes and duelists, and then Crazy Guy being able to fill the smokes when needed. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe if RQ, if there's the right time for it, maybe they'll make an official statement. If not, maybe we'll see Zan back in, and then we'll see them kind of find their groove. But we will have to wait and see. Now, thankfully for RQ, the good news is last week wasn't their super week. This upcoming one is, so they didn't take that risk with 2 matches. It was just the one. Now, it was a bit of a big one because we know the point situation and all the group situations for Pacific. So going up against GE, a bit unfortunate, but GE is able to take advantage of that. Now, before we get into, I want to, at the end of this episode today, I do want to talk a little bit about just what we've seen of the meta so far in Stage 2. But before we get there, another hot topic that came up in week 1 is Primmie. Primmie back on the Deadlock. Everyone's saying, Frost, what are you doing? Thought you wanted him on Duelist. You kept saying you wanted him on Duelist and it was all Primmie, and then you go back and immediately he's back to playing Deadlock. First off, I'll just start off by saying I think playing Deadlock, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, I think playing Deadlock is one of the easiest ways you can beat Nongshim Red Force, just in general.
Yeah.
And I actually think Primmie was a really good Deadlock last year. And so I saw no problem with this, but the internet was in an uproar.
So oh, go on, Morgan. You go first.
No, you go.
I'll go first. Okay. I think you are exactly right that Primmie on the Deadlock is a counter for Nongshim, but I don't want to see it against a lot of the other teams. And it is great that they played Nongshim right now because it's what Morgan was talking about previously. It's the Darnby Neon situation all again. If Darnby's not playing Neon, you got the best Deadlock in the world, the best Neon in the world not playing on the Neon. Why are you not putting the best Jet in the world not on the Jet? Like, so to speak, right? That's the situation with this full sense roster. But in this instance, correct move in my opinion.
Yeah, so I think there's layers to this. Now, I firmly believe that they're not even going to play this comp against other teams, let alone Primmie on Deadlock. I think this was because the thing is this is the same thing that happened last year. Oh, we're playing Talon's playing Nongshim Red Force, Deadlock or Deadlock Cypher. Every other time, it's a toss up, right? But it's against Nongshim Red Force, doesn't matter what the map is. We're bringing out the Deadlock. Yeah, it seemed like it was very much a targeted thing. I can't imagine that they'll copy it, but it pains me to make this comparison. But when you say it's the Darnby Neon situation, as much as I love Darnby to death, and I still have faith that his other duelists can be fine at a tier 1 level, I don't think that differential is comparable to Primmie. I think Primmie is still way more consistent and serviceable in other roles, just because of his rifling. Yeah, so I think it's a little bit more forgivable, I guess, is what I'm saying from like a coaching perspective of like, what are you doing? You should absolutely only play him on Jet. I'm like, well, no, with Primmie, like, I'm fine with you trying him on other agents because he's usually frag. Now, this game, he didn't frag out. And I think that's where a lot of the uproar came from, is that the result-based analysis of, like, Primmie bottom fragged on Deadlock, and then he played Jet, and he got 21 kills. So, like, what's Frost doing? But, again, matchup-wise and et cetera, I thought it was fine. Big time. What are your takes overall on this pick?
I mean, I agree. I think I was fine with it on the Deadlock. It's a targeted move against Nongshim. Frost doesn't lose to Nongshim, and that's exactly right because he does this every time. I will say I want to give credit to Nongshim because that map one was it
Haven.
Haven first.
13-3.
Yeah.
Nongshim dealt with that really well. I was actually very
Yes.
impressed by Nongshim in that game. It felt like they knew the counter was coming and they had a great read on it. And I was like, oh, okay, this could get interesting. But then it changes to that map 2, and then they don't know how to deal with it again. And they've forgotten. And then the Deadlock, Primmie found great value in that map 2. In my mind, he didn't frag, but he didn't have to frag. That's not his job. He's on a team full of cracked tally kids. He doesn't have to be the guy. Always. And then map 3, they just played it simple. And I think that was more Nongshim trying different stuff and them struggling, where Full Sense just played pretty standard. So
Yeah.
I don't mind it. Like I think we spoke to Frost about this last week, and he said I want Primmie to be the best player in the world, and part of that is being flexible.
Right.
So
Yeah,
there's no better time than this to put him on Deadlock and give him more reps on Deadlock, especially in a team where it directly counters. And like you say, last year you had good Deadlock performances. People just want to see Primmie go kill, and I get it. Like he's very good at Primmie go kill, but what's more important is them beating Nongshim.
Yeah.
And if that's putting Primmie on the Deadlock and Primmie is okay to do that, then do that. I think credit to Frost, game planning wise, they cooked Nongshim once again. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with
done.
Nongshim, but I find it tough with this team. I find it tough.
By the way, it's an 8-4 attacking half with a double sentinel, like Deadlock Cypher. At that point, you got to feel like you're locked in that map as well. So it gets a little bit worrisome when they go to the defensive side and Nongshim starts to come back, and you've got.
You mean on Split?
On Split specifically, yeah. That's where it's like, oh, are they gonna get reversed here? Like, is it gonna like be that close and then it doesn't happen? Because Nongshim did take over them, right? Nongshim got to 11 first, and then it was 3 in a row at that 11-10 to close out the map, and then send it over into what, Ascent for the last map, and we've just got some blocks of continuous round snowballing, which
I am curious what your take was on the split for the two of you, because the split is weird when you look at the score line on who won versus who lost, because you're right that Full Sense should have had it locked in, but they let Nongshim overtake them. But at the same time, Nongshim got both pistols.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's like, when you were watching it, who did you feel should have been winning? Like who?
No.
You thought Nongshim should have been winning. Okay.
So I thought Nongshim at maybe the beginning, like half of the first half, and like even the beginning of the first half, like the first half of the second
even if
half.
they were losing 3-2, 4-2 on defense.
Yeah. You think Nongshim won a pistol, then lost the next 4, and you were like, no, they're in control of the game. They've got this
No, they get the pistol the second. They would drop the bonus, which is understandable. They would lose the next round, and I would think, all right, this is fine. You're going to take that eco, and then you're going to come back with a slight adjustment. And then that didn't happen. Then that didn't happen. So like at that moment, then it's like,
okay, but
I was like this.
Okay, so I'm just going to say this. You were being a reactionary Andy on the scoreboard is what it sounds like.
So if you actually want like who was making the better decisions and adjustments in the first half.
Well, just in general, throughout the game.
In general for this map, Full Sense, and it's probably like a 70-30 for me in that.
Okay. So Full Sense, like the result was what it should be. Full Sense just kind of let it slip away in the middle.
They should have won that a lot cleaner.
A lot cleaner. Right. Yeah.
But for me, map 2 at least, Full Sense were the better team. I think they got smacked map 1. Credit to Nongshim, they were better map 1.
Yeah.
But map 2, Full Sense were way better. I thought they were playing a better game. Thought the players were playing better. Nongshim did well to sort of keep themselves in it. I think they almost won. Like fair play. Like sometimes you're gonna win games like that. You're gonna seal 2 pistols and it's gonna be enough.
Yep.
That's Valorant. But they couldn't do that. They don't get the job done. You lose when you don't have you lose when you win both pistols. I'm sorry, but you got cooked. And then map 3. I actually felt like that first half when they were down 6-0, they bring it back to 6-6. I was like, okay, it's on. And then I think map 3 is where it goes the other way for me, where I don't think Nongshim were terrible. I think the flow of the game just went against them. I think
Yeah.
Full Sense did that well, but they, they did what Nongshim couldn't do in map 2, which was close it, which was use that momentum and
Yeah.
carry it forward. So,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, look, I'm not super high on Nongshim. I haven't been high on Nongshim since the start of the year. I've been hating on these guys.
You're such
You
a
know?
hater, man.
Yeah, you have
Hey,
been.
they put Dobby back on the neon for the
He
most
did.
part. Come on.
Credit to Suganon doesn't have to be put down. He did his job.
Oh my
Well done.
God.
damn.
Look,
The hate
it's
is
the easiest fix.
real.
I'm happy he did it. Look, over in
The hate
UBC, I
is-
wanted them to do well. They were the Pacific reps. They did much better than everybody else there, and I was rooting for them through that. And I felt like they've shown they can play truly terrific Valorant when they embrace their style, and that's what I always want to see from them. I want to see them
Sure.
embrace their style to the maximum.
Sure,
Right?
sure.
But it won't always be enough, especially as the devs slowly tune the meta away from that sort of Santiago S style. The game will get harder for them. We saw it
Mm.
last year
Yeah.
when the method isn't in their favor, they will struggle. And I think the players are fantastic players. I just want to. I sort of hate because I care. I want to see them do better than this.
You're
They have
the
such
Asian
an
dad.
amazing story. I'm an Asian dad to Nongshim. Like, I want to see them do better because they can be
Mm.
great. Like back in, when I played these kids in 2024, I was like, they are the future of Valorant. Wow,
Mm.
I'm so excited for them. They won Ascension. I was so excited for them, and then they look wet, and
Mm.
it's just, you know what I mean?
No, I
I
get what
want
you
to see
mean.
them do well.
I'm with you, right? Like, obviously, I'm very committed to this team, not only because I get paid, but I chose to get paid by this team specifically because I care instead of getting
Yeah.
paid by a team that I don't care about. And so I've been talking that way when watching it as well, where I'm like, no, they played fine. Like, if I wasn't particularly invested in this team, I would have just said, that sucks, close game, but obviously they're very talented. You saw the heroics from these guys, and Haven was a banger, and I'm sure they'll come back. It's easy to say that, but when you want them to do well, and they should be able to do well, you start to, the frustration builds up a little bit, and I
Yeah.
get that, and so we'll see if they can figure it
And I
out.
think-
Now, go ahead.
I was just going to add on to that. I think then their second game of the week
Yes.
against Gen G.
Mm.
That's sort of also the problem for me. Is I predicted Gen G for this game because I was fed up of seeing Nongshim do the things that they always do. I thought Gen G looked like a more polished team coming into it, and it happened. It happened once again. Map 1 split. Nongshim's pick. They win 2 pistols, 2 bonuses, and lose
And
that
then
game.
drop it.
Like you can't have it go more in your favor than this. And then Ascent is the one that they win. They steal Gen G's pick because
No.
they lean into what they're good at. Danby goes back onto the neon, and I'm like, yes, guys, we're learning, we're growing, wonderful, wonderful. And
But then map 3.
map 3, they get absolutely rolled, and it's just like, okay, well, I'm glad we tried. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me is it's more just like they could be so great. They really could. And I don't know what's missing for them. Like I think they're probably a slight buff of the right agent away from being fantastic again. Like they've perfected their style. When they play their style, I love to see it. And if that style comes back around or everything's cyclical, maybe 6 years from now, get these guys out of their nursing homes and they'll win trophies again because they're good at that. They're so good at that. But it just worries me that it will always be that flash in the pan of what could have been. Of they're
Right.
amazing at their style of Valorant.
Yeah, they definitely are. I think Haven is an interesting one as well because Ash was in the flowesty of flow states that you could
Oh,
possibly
yeah.
be.
He was
And
great all series.
You just
I mean, yeah,
have
the
a
whole
series
series.
like that.
Yeah.
As I was about to say, you have a series like that, and sometimes you'll reflect back at that as Nongshim, and you'll just be like, you watch the VOD, and you'll be like, 99% will win this duel, and he's just got hit that 1% shot. And he
Yeah.
kept doing it, and he just kept doing it. So, positioning and layering from Genji aside, Nongshim showed us glimpses of who they are again this week. But moments again where it's like, the same mistakes.
Yeah.
And that hurts. That's the part that hurts.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think if you're a Nongshim fan like me, the hopium is they just came back from UWC. You had to play 2 games
Yeah,
this weekend. The schedule
true.
was absolutely
That was-
rigged, and
Yeah.
it was
That's
against
true.
tough
Who decides
opponents.
the schedule?
But also on the flip side, if you're a Nongshim hater like me, we're licking our lips. We're having a great day. So
One day,
You're telling
one day
me,
we will
Morgan,
get you back. One day we will bring you back to the light, big time. I promise you. You'll be
team-
there slurping noodles.
I was there with you in Santiago, man. I wanted it. I wanted it in Santiago.
I was about to
but-
say, the team that wins stage 1, that wins Masters, is not going to make champs.
This what? The team that won stage 1 and Masters?
Well,
You mean Paper X that won stage 1 that are qualified for champs?
sorry, not Paper Race, the non-shimmers. You
Oh,
don't
the
think
kickoff.
Yeah,
kickoff?
Oh,
Sorry, kickoff. That's what I meant. I
Yeah.
meant kickoff. Sorry, yes. Stage season 1. Frost has
Stage
got me
0.
in season 1 head again.
yeah.
Yes, kickoff. The
Ah.
team that was winning at the beginning of the year will not.
No, I
make
think
champs.
big time. I think. Well, I mean, to be fair though, I actually think it's pretty dicey because you lost
Yeah,
both
that's what I
games.
mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like,
I mean, there's a good chance Notion will have to play through play-ins. Now,
Yeah.
I rest assured that they've now had plenty of times where they've had to grind through a bracket, and that shouldn't be too much of a disadvantage for them specifically. This obviously it's going to be tiring for no matter who. And obviously, I personally believe in this roster and their strength, so I'm not too worried yet. Like people were asking me, like, "Oh, is your butt clenched? Like, are you scared? Are you worried?" And I'm like, "Well, no. I mean, yeah, it sucks that the points aren't guaranteed anymore, but I mean, I'm just more frustrated because I'm not worried yet, and there's plenty of chances. I believe in this team being strong enough to get through no matter which way. It's just more the frustration of like there are just some of these same core issues that." Like you figured out your style within this meta, but how do you expand from that? How do you evolve from that? And that's what we're missing. But speaking of
think-
evolution, yeah.
I was just super fast. Moving to play-ins, they won't lose to tier 2 teams. They stopped
yeah,
tier
yeah.
2 for
Yeah.
such a
Oh,
long
that
time. They
for
won
sure.
stage twice. They're so fine in play-ins.
Yeah. Play-ins, I think they're
um,
fine. It's just the grind all the way through, obviously.
and just on that quickly as well, it's just Japan that we're waiting on for the final team, right?
Yes.
Because
Because
onside,
Korea's dead. Done. Sorry.
Korea's
not
dead.
dead.
Korea's dead.
Well,
No. Well, Korean Valorant.
Oh,
We'll see.
that's
Oh.
that's a Freudian slip if I've ever heard
That's
one.
a crazy Freudian slip, actually. But Korea's done. Yes.
yeah.
Japan, we're waiting. But we'll find out.
I
soon enough.
kind of like personal bias. I want QT to win so Margaret can play again.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. There's quite a few actually out there, but we'll wait and see. But speaking of evolution, I want to touch this week really quickly on where you think the meta is, because even just within Pacific, now I haven't caught too many games from the other regions this week, but just within Pacific too, we've seen plenty of different interpretations, whether it's on existing maps or obviously Summon as well, just worldwide. Everyone's been playing different metas and different comps. So do you think there is an answer? Is it flexible? Where are we?
I think that we're converging to a pretty firm meta now. I know now
Okay.
maybe the initiator changes haven't been explored enough, and I will prove myself to be wrong as people try more things and it solves itself. But right now, Neon Phoenix is very good. Phoenix is still in an excellent state. Neon is still a top level space creator. So Neon Phoenix, whatever initiator fits them up, Omen, and then Cypher or Chamber. I think if you have a great Chamber player, I want to see more and more Chamber. In an era of little util, Chamber will begin to succeed. But equally, I think if you have a fantastic Cypher player and you care more about that stopping power, then you play the Cypher. I think that for me, we saw Team Secret play it on both of their maps against I blanked. Who did they beat? KRX. That's it.
KRX. Yeah.
They played the same thing there. I
Wow.
think you could take that formula. You change either the initiator or the sentinel. That fits the pool perfectly. If you want to simplify, play the meta, that's what I would do. Now again, that's all in the context of whatever team you're in. If you have players that kind of fit that, but I do think the initiator changes were trending in a good direction. I liked that we saw teams try some double initiator. I sort of hope that I'm wrong. I hope that style gets punished a little bit more. But right now, it still looks very powerful as of week 1.
Yeah. So I went a little bit more spread across the pool, and I've got some statistics and some numbers to back up this as well. So it's interesting to hear it from your outside view about it, because this is actually the most diverse we've seen ever, funnily enough. So of the 29 agents that we currently have in the pool, 28 have been played already in week 1. We have only not seen a Reyna. We have seen every single agent apart from Reyna so far. And then across all the different globally. So across the 4 regions this is for. So we've got some different interpretations in China versus EMEA and
Sure.
Pacific and Americas as well. But we've got Split currently globally the least diverse with 15 agents played, and Summit, funnily enough, has been the most early adopted exploratory map period that we've seen so far. 21 different unique agents and 17 different unique compositions played. Not a single team globally has played the same comp as another yet. We have every single team running a different comp, which I think is absolutely bizarre that in the beginning, no one has found a firm idea at this map and it aligned with another team globally out of 48 teams. I think that is phenomenally awesome. Now, I also add a caveat that EMEA has not played Summit once. So this is out of 3 regions, technically. They've banned it completely.
The Pearl problem.
Yeah,
EMEA is boring.
How can people fathom watching that region? My goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I think for some of it makes sense for me. I think you just try stuff, you see, and I think we see more diversity right now because of the play-in factor. Because of how this is set up, you don't have to win in the groups. So this has been a problem Valorant has had for a long time. I think we spoke about it with Frost. Is that you're pressured to converge to a meta because you have to try and win immediately, and you don't have a lot of games. Really, you've just handed each team 5 games where they can lose. They can go 0-5, and the year isn't over. I think that it's sort of added a backbone here to the structure. It's added a failsafe where now we can try it. Now you can try stuff. You can see, we see some teams trolling. We see teams picking mix, and we see teams picking what was it, Gekko something on Summit?
Gekko Tejo.
Yeah. Oh, crazy. Yeah. But this is what I mean. We'll see more diversity wherever there is a failsafe.
Oh, by the way, like, we didn't only just see the one Gekko as well, right? We saw something play Gekko on Sunset too. So
on
the Gekko
Sunset,
on Summit from Global Esports, it's like technically PaperX or even call it experimenting, calling it catering for.
I mean, the Gekko something is just a callback as well. They played it, quite a few times with the op as well.
Yeah, it's always interesting because like the different player comfort as well, right? That Morgan was talking about a little bit earlier. This ecosystem surrounding this stage of you've got the groups into the play-ins, or your top teams getting the buy into the playoffs as well. It really does give that safety net for the experimentation, which KRX is the team that is like, yeah, let's experiment. And then you got the other extreme, which is like a couple of other teams like, we want to get wins. We want to find something that's really comfortable and build upon this time and time again and go back to like kind of the basics as well, right? Which is something that I feel like Varel is doing, that Team Secret is doing as well. And it's kind of looking a lot stronger for them. So there's very different ideas being drawn up from different squads at the moment. That honestly, for the Valorant purist in me, I hope that it works out for all of them and they get what they want, but only one team can win at the end of the day. So that's where the excitement comes from me, to see who is it going to favor better. Not after week 1, because some teams get it worse with playing 2 games or playing an easy team and maybe getting upset early versus playing them later on if they have this prep already. But it's the luck of the draw at the end of the day for that as well, and that's with the nature of the game. So that's what makes this exciting for me.
Yeah. It is. We are definitely seeing more experimentation, and honestly, I hadn't quite thought about the play-in factor, so I'm glad you brought it up big time, because that does add a lot of runway. Like, especially if you're not in the race for points, right? Because if you're in the race for points, then like you might want to try to secure those top 2 spots in the groups, because then you're just like one step away from guaranteeing extra points in the playoffs. But other than that, it's like not to say that you're not trying, but it's like, okay, we can actually take time to build into what we really want, rather than saying let's try to eke out 1 win here, 1 win there. So it's a very different mindset. So it is exciting to see that, and hopefully, maybe that's a preview of the good side to come next year with several open qualifiers, things like that, and maybe we'll see more people being willing to experiment with things back and forth. But I agree with Big Time a little bit in that most likely, at least for Stage 2, unless we see bigger changes going to Champs, the whole Neon Phoenix is just like the easiest answer, right? You get big explosions, you still get double walls, and then now you can either take another wall, you can do other double control, or you can do double initiate. Like, from there, you can actually do whatever else you want, but you're kind of focused around the double duelist there that really keeps you flexible. And maybe that's the good thing. Maybe that, because that allows you to be flexible elsewhere, maybe we'll see more varied gameplay as well, whether you lean into a sentinel, whether you lean into double control or something like that. But we will see. I think, and my take is that I do think it's somewhat flexible, but I do wonder if someone's ever going to come up with something that completely changes it, where it's like, well, we found the actual complete counter to Neon Phoenix. Like, I don't know if you can quite get that, where it's like a guaranteed, this is a matchup diff. Obviously, you can play to your strengths. So I would be curious to see if someone comes up with that throughout stage 2. But it should be exciting. I mean, off to an exciting start. Obviously, we've got plenty more coming up. This week coming up, we have another 4 days. Start on Thursday again, right? Big time? It's Thursday through Sunday every time. Oh, and it starts off with a banger this week.
It's a good one.
GE Full Sense. Yo, you know what? I hadn't actually planned this, but let's do predictions for all of this week's matches. We'll just rattle them through. We won't spend too much time on them, but yeah, all right. So first up, it's gonna be GE Full Sense. Who have you got? We didn't submit it prior, so we'll just have to speak it out loud.
Look, I'd love to say GE here, but I think Full Sense are a better group of players, and I also think Frost has so much information. And the thing is, I think actually I'll be fast, sorry. It's kind of interesting that Frost will have taught them how to beat Full Sense.
Yeah.
He'll have come up with a game plan and given a game plan to beat Full Sense, and now he's going to go across to GE. He's sort of anti-stratting against himself. He's playing against his ghost. You know when you race your ghost in Mario Kart? That's what he's doing here.
Yeah.
So it's about whether Frost then was better or Frost now is better, and that's exciting. But I think Full Sense are good enough players to get the job done here.
Yeah.
If you want to keep with that analogy, I think Frost needs to play the track mirrored now.
There you go.
Completely do it differently. I still have Full Sense as well for this series.
Damn, me too. That's a sweep. I'm basically with what Big Time's saying. It's not that I think it's going to be a stomp. I actually don't think it'll be a stomp, especially considering that I think it also feels like GE, based on the interviews, whether it was the mid-match interview with Platoon or afterwards, and also just what they played, it seems like they're actually that team that's gonna focus on what are we good at. Let's try to get wins that we can. So we're gonna go with comfort roles. We're gonna go with comfort aggression. We're gonna kind of play loose and fast. But if they do that, I don't think it'll be a stomp for Full Sense. However, I agree that with the extra layer of prep and just the caliber of players, like Full Sense should be able to close it out. So Full Sense, all right, all 3-0 Full Sense over GE. Now T1 Veryl. Veryl showed some hope. I'm still going to go with T1 though.
I kind of want to go on Veryl for me.
Okay.
Because I think they just needed that one win. They're going to come in with so much belief now. When they were in Tier 2, when they were in Ascension, they couldn't be stopped, right? Because they had this momentum. And the one thing they never got in Tier 1 was momentum. I feel like it's the Foxy 9 factor. You add, plus Foxy 9, and you're good for like 3 wins before he'll get benched again. But those 3 wins, I think someone needs to sign Foxy 9 in the quarterfinals of champs, and they're going to win the game.
Damn.
But I think right now, they're going to be feeling on top of the world, and I see a world where they win. I think T1 are favored.
But you'll give them the punt.
But yeah, I think I like to do it. If I feel like the team I like has like a 30% chance to win, I'll take it.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. T1 notoriously just fumbles every now and then, just randomly against a team that they shouldn't lose to. So I think a little bit of a, what, I'm gonna root for the underdog here is fair in that matchup. You're still going with T1 though, right, Komodo?
I'm going with T1. Did you see Meteor and Izu against Paper X? Like, hello?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Meteor also is
Meteor,
like back
hello?
on Duelist
Like,
and Chamber.
He's back, baby. I don't
back.
see T1 losing this. If you wanna see the T1 upset game, I think that could possibly be the last game against KRX if we see KRX figure stuff out. That's the upsetty game for me that might get it. I don't see T1 losing the battle.
Yeah, we didn't talk about T1 at all, but for those who missed it, it is worth going back and watching. Now, obviously, they were playing against a Paper X who was also playing a little bit loose, but T1 kind of leaning into Meteor and saying, okay, you play your strengths, we'll work around that. Personally, I'm just happy that reminded everyone that Buzz used to be an OG Omen player, so he gets to do that a little bit and still do just fine. So I'm curious how they'll continue with that. But all right, T1 over Veryl, 2-1. Now RQ Zeta. two disappointing teams, I would say, from week
I'll
one.
start with this, and I'll say RRQ because there's no way that a breach is winning in 2026. Sorry,
Hey, I
Mini's
liked
comp is
that breach on
fraudulent still.
Ascent, man.
I think it's fraudulent.
No, I think it was good. They just misplayed it, but anyway.
Yeah, no. Sorry, no.
I don't think it was that terrible. I can't
No,
lie.
it
like,
wasn't. It was.
Look,
They played it
they
bad,
lost
but-
double. They lost double pistol and a bonus. I think there's room there. It's a reaction to the meta of like.
Yes.
Neon Phoenix Chamber,
Yeah.
right? It's going okay. Well, now I do think they have to get better with it. They have to get more of
Yes.
the fault line, and then but equally, Sunset went to a big OT against the Genji team that I actually kind of rate. I think RRQ are kind of subtly imploding. You know, like
They're not
I think-
subtly
the
imploding.
year-long
Ah.
ticking bomb is just slowly shrinking.
oh man, RRQ should win this every day. I don't like
They
Zeta Division.
should.
I don't like how they play in general. I don't like that they didn't make any changes. So I'm gonna go with RRQ, but I think Zeta Division have the chance to do the funniest thing.
All right. I'm
Fair.
gonna be honest. So I'm gonna be on Planchat this week as well. I guess I would have been on Planchat by the time this goes out, and
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on this match, and I can't remember what I ended up on. But here I'm gonna go with Zeta Division. This is
Am
gonna
I
be the
getting
one
a-
upset.
It's fun if it's Zeta Division.
Am
Yes.
I getting
That's
to post
fun world.
a fraud photo of Chobo
You
like
might
flipping his
be.
predictions?
No, you might be able to, but I think if there's an upset for Zeta to make in this
It's this
group,
one.
it's this one. It's
Yeah.
this one.
I can agree
and
with that.
and we'll see what they do. All right, so 2-1 for RRQ. DFM versus PaperX. We can skip this one, right? PaperX.
Paper X.
Paper X should win
Yeah,
a million.
sorry, DFM.
every
Paper
day.
X, and let's have Forsaken complete the party.
He has to play Gekko now. Yeah, is that
Yeah,
it?
Gekko.
All right.
Unless you're one of those people that is like, he hasn't played it in VCT, he needs to play it there. Because it's just like on VLR, but
Right.
he played it.
Yeah, that's
It,
fine.
it was recorded. Who cares?
Gekko. I'm down with Gekko.
Gekko.
All right,
Yeah.
so PaperX over DFM. Nongshim versus GE. I mean, you know my answer. I'm gonna go with Nongshim here, regardless. I have to.
I'm on the Nongshim for this one.
Big time. The biggest hater of Nongshim Red
I'm
Force.
too much of a hater. It's global. It's global.
Oh, one of these
Here you
days is
go.
gonna bite you back, man.
All of the
This is the thing
community-
with global. Well, I almost went with global over Full Sense because they're not a bad
Mm.
team.
No,
I
they're
think there's
not.
been a bit of an overreaction of like I think Frost is an amazing coach, but he gets a lot of credit for that team.
Sure.
Rightfully so. But ultimately, the 5 players in the server in stage 1 had a fantastic time. They
Yes.
showed individual prowess. They beat Paper Rex. It's the players that are doing that in those moments. So I can't flip super hard on them. So I do think there's
Yeah.
a world where they're certainly good enough. They beat Nongshim before. I think all they have to do is remember Frost's game plan on how to
So,
beat Nongshim,
Can I
and
add?
I think they're fine.
And it might change your prediction on this. This is GE's Super Week. They go against Full Sense first. If they drop 2 Frost, they have 1 day to reset themselves. They've lost Frost as coach. They've lost Vlad as coach. They just have Platoon, who's gone from analyst to head coach.
Mhm.
Is 1 day enough after a potential Full Sense mental implosion duel series to then go against Nongshim? Too much in 1 week after what we've seen.
It's fine. It's fine because
Okay.
Nongshim aren't a hard team to scheme for. Like
Yeah.
Nongshim don't adapt to you. They play their game, right? Nongshim
Yes.
will always run what they want to run. You know that coming into it in advance. If Nongshim were a
Yeah.
little bit more adaptable, if this was like a different team, I could see that being a problem, but I don't think it matters against Nongshim.
And
Yeah,
I'm
fair.
with big time on this regarding Nongshim. Obviously, everyone's always like, well, you can't ever say anything bad about Nongshim. I'm like, well, no, I want them to do the best. So like, I will point out what I see. They played to their strengths. They're like one of those teams, and
Yeah.
they win their matches because their strengths are very good. But I agree that in terms of prepping like ideas, Nongshim is not a hard team to prep ideas against. It's the execution where you're going to have
Yeah.
to really micromanage
Exactly.
that a little bit. But I agree. I'm glad you brought that up, by the way, big time, that there was a bit too much of a flip on the narrative. Because, I mean, I guess maybe I went a bit ham on it as well, because I had people coming in and being like, wow, you like hate Gino. And it's like, well, no. But for me, it's funny because for you, it's like, well, I can't flip too hard. For me, it's because a lot of my hype for them was the hopium that they will eventually reach that ceiling. Now,
Yeah.
I just don't think that ceiling is that high. I still think they're a good team and they'll play well in the server. So we'll see. But 2-1 for Nongshim. We can't convince the hater yet. It's fine.
But yeah,
Team Secret T1.
I still
So-
think T1 is too difficult.
Okay.
I want to take Secret here. I think The thing that I think is it's like if T1 win against Varel, they'll lose against Secret. And if they, I think
Oh, okay.
the results will
You
be
think
kind of flipped.
they'll?
I think the good thing is
They'll
like
lose one.
I trust the game planning on Secret. I think they showed that they know how to do that.
Mhm.
And T1 have to play two like pretty much back to back. It's their super week, and
Mhm.
you have a nice little advantage
Oh, we've lost him. We will never know.
being that.
We'll never know.
We'll never know how
Hello.
Secret will have the
He's
advantage.
just He's,
No, I think you're back.
His boy
You're back.
Spin. He
Help
can't
me.
go against Spin.
You're there, you're
It's
there.
what
Help
it
me, I'm
is.
drowning.
You're
Oh, I'm back.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
back, Morgan. You're back.
So I think that the thing is playing them that second game of the Super Week is
Mm.
really nice. They've had
Yes.
they've only had like 2 days or whatever, one
Well, that's
practice day
true.
to change
Yeah.
stuff.
That's
And
fair.
I don't know, like I thought T1 were good, but then they lost to a troll mix comp.
They did.
And
They
I think
did.
Meteor put up, he was 5 kills away from the record. Like he had a generational
Yeah.
game. That's not super consistent. Um, so I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I get it. I'm a little bit biased for this Team Secret team right now
Right.
since Spin has joined. So maybe that clouds my judgment here. But I definitely see them losing one game in this Super Week.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
for sure. I'm not sure which way that falls.
Okay. So you'll just go for both because you think at least one they're probably losing.
I think one of them will come true.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm still gonna go with T1, but I'm kind of excited for what the Secret team can show us in the stage. Now,
Mhm.
the very last day, it's gonna be. Can we really call it the RX Derby anymore? It's lost its flavor, really.
It's-
But
Yeah,
lost
it's like
it.
it's punching a toddler. It's
yeah. Yeah, PaperX is going to punch a toddler on the last day of the weekend. And then Gen G versus... I mean, this has also lost its flavor, man.
It has.
The
It
Gen
has.
G RQ rivalry. I mean, to be fair, it would have been more of a rivalry in Stage 1 because they were both floundering.
Oh,
but-
bro, who wins? Stage 2 RRQ or Stage 1 Gen G?
Yeah,
Now
there
we're
you go.
talking.
That's what I want to see. But
No, I
currently...
mean, I think there's a world where RRQ can turn it around, but it's their Super Week, right? They've also
Yeah. Yep, they got
so
you.
maybe I can flip on that prediction after we see their first game if they look a little
Sure.
bit more cohesive. But if they play like they did against GE, they'll lose. They'll lose to almost everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta go Gen G. I actually think like
Gen G.
on the side of Gen G, I thought Rascal did his job super well. I think Athena sorted in solidly for the calls. Like
Yeah.
I think they're doing everything they need to, and I think RRQ are regressing a little bit.
Komodo, same thing, right? Gen G? We're all
Dragon
Gen G?
Nation for me. Yep.
Yep, 3-0 Gen G. Man, how times have changed since Stage 1. But there you go. Those
Yeah.
are our predictions for Week 2. Let us know down below who you think is going to be the big winner in Stage 2 coming up here for VCT Pacific. And as always, before we sign off, we have our personal picks of the week where we get to give a personal shout out to anyone within the Valorant or VCT community as we see fit. Who wants to go first? Anybody need time?
Do I
And
have
can-
only
I,
one
I,
this
I can
week?
go. 'cause
Yes.
He needs like 20 minutes to
Yeah,
talk about it.
exactly.
Okay, number one, shout out Jordan Mays, Elfish guy. He asked me to shout him out in the personal pick section when I showed him the story docs for this. Number two, I hope he's watching this. You better be watching this. Number two is of course Spin coming in
Ah,
to
fair.
Team Secret because I think like obviously he's someone I know very very well. I worked together for a long time, and the narrative about him was just backwards. People only ever remember the time he had on GE, but he went down to Motive and he did the grind and he won SEA 3 times in a row. So people
Yeah.
feel like it's like he gets this. Why does he get a second chance and no one else does? Like because he went back down and he earned his way back up here and he came out
Yeah.
with a solid week 1 performance. To be honest, I think BB KRX was massive for them. So he's definitely someone I want to shout out because he's not had an easy time here in Valorant. So to see him come back to Korea and pick up a win on that stage for me felt very special. So he's my shout out.
I think that's fair. All right, Komodo, you got one?
I will limit it to one. Shout out to Varel, they got a
Wow.
win. There you
Ah,
go.
all right.
That's my one.
Wow,
That's
he's
fair.
embracing the spirit of the segment.
He really is. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny that you had more than one.
Elfish guy. Elfish guy's ruined your
He
record.
just had to get on the podcast. He had to get on the podcast somehow.
Oh man. All right. Well, congratulations to Varel. For me, I'm kind of surprised, but I guess we had quite a few options because I figured if one of you guys mentioned the other, I'll go with one. But I will choose, and I will give the shout out to Zeus from Secret. So we're
Yeah.
gonna have double because I thought when we saw him like end of stage 1, so I hadn't known too much about Zeus before, but people told me like, dude, he's gonna be so good. He's really hyped up in the Philippines. I'm like, okay, I'll see. And then he, played that last match of stage 1, and I was like, okay, I can see where you're coming from. Like this guy's sharp. He's got mechanics, and he's playing some confidence. With confidence. Now, then he plays the online EWC qualifiers. Now, I don't count those too much because like online is a little different. We
Yeah.
have to see you on stage. But I'm thinking, okay, you played well on stage 1. He comes in, and what impressed me was the game planning can come from Styron and Spin and Kelly S, whatever else. But the split-second decisions he's making
Yeah.
for the
He's
win
fast.
condition. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
oh, do I have to stay alive or fight here? Like, he's so good at that.
I love that he went forward almost every time he's in trouble. He doesn't run
Mhm.
away. He goes
Yeah.
into the trouble and he finds one kill every time. I think
Mm.
that's such a sick trait to have as a young player. He felt very unafraid. So I think that's a good shout out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
wasn't like overheating too much either. Like it was just that right amount of restraint of like I know my job is to buy time and space here, and I'll
Yeah.
do it well. And he
I,
obviously he's a sharpshooter, so
I think it was like I totally agree. He made really great decisions of if there was too much pressure, we would back away. But every time it was a one-on-one,
mhm.
every time he felt like there's only one guy here, he stunned and went forward because he really
Yeah.
backed his own aim, which
He
is great decision making for a Neon.
Yeah.
he was a bully for me in that KRX game. Like on Sunset,
Yes.
he was a bully. Like
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
playing like double duelist against a triple duelist, but you are the duelist on Team Secret there, as opposed to like the Phoenix of Kalias. You bullied KRX there, and then that's in a good way. So I
Yeah,
can agree with
so
that.
I'm excited. So
Yeah.
I guess the conclusion is I thought he was on a much higher starting point than I thought he would have. So I'm excited to see how he grows throughout stage 2. Well, there you go. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me. Of course, for all of our listeners, we are on Spotify as well. So if you'd like to listen on the go, you can find us there as well. And I guess for week 2, you'll see Big Time on the main broadcast. I'll be watch partying Komodo. Maybe you'll turn on the watch party on the weekend. Maybe not. We'll see. Obviously, you've got your own schedule to work with. But if not, I'm sure we'll see you drop by some of the chaps and we'll be able
Yep,
to watch the
definitely.
games together. So thank you very much, everybody. We will see you next week, and we hope you all enjoy week 2 of VCT Pacific.